Well, here I am at my home away from home, the American Airlines terminal. It's the 155th anniversary of a very significant prophetic date. You know, the midterm elections proved that we are indeed a house divided. You can see by the close proximity of the votes in Florida, the recounts that were taking place, the reversals that were taking place in other congressional districts and states, how razor's edge the balance is on where America's going to go.
C35, prospect needed, C35.
And there are so many voices contending in the atmosphere for us, trying to shape us. But the Gettysburg Address was delivered 155 years ago by Abraham Lincoln. And why that's prophetic is because the outcome of the war was going to be determined by an event that seemingly could go either way. But God intervened. And Lincoln gave his famous address, his short address, and the address was over the proposition as to whether or not a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal could indeed survive the crucible and the ordeal of a civil war. And now we're in a civil war of a different sort, and it's a war of values and a war of vision, with a new generation that has forgotten, literally doesn't know its own history. We're under the perpetual bombardment of academic institutions, discipling our children with propaganda that causes them to not only hate the country, that is the envy of every other nation, but to rewrite its history and to dedicate itself to its fundamental changing, which would essentially take out the American experiment. But you and I are standing in the way of that, just as intercessors and Christians stood in the way, but not just intercessors, but soldiers. It was Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain on the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg when it looked that the Confederates were going to take the key position on the strategic left flank of the Union Army at Little Round Top. And this professor of rhetoric, this seminary professor, prayed and realized, as the soldiers told him, that that little position they had on the top of a hill couldn't be held against another thrust because they were out of bullets. Out of bullets. What would you do if you were out of bullets and had a position on a hill that you couldn't keep, and a division was coming up to wipe you off that hill with real bullets? Chamberlain told his army, his company from Maine, he said, fix bayonets, and we will swing down this little mountain as one. It's a fact, as one. And so he said, wait for the back part of the hinge to come, and when you see them on the left, we're going to snap together, and as one, we will sweep down the hill. And so they took their bayonets, they attached them, and they waited for the command, and then the command of Joshua Chamberlain, the left side of the circled army company came out with their bayonets. When they lined up with the rest of the flank, the rest of the soldiers came down as one, and they swept the Little Round Top mount position just as the Alabama regiment was coming up over the crest. The second day was won by Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and the 20th Maine. What's interesting is they were a remnant on a overlooked position. They turned the battle because when they were out of bullets, they moved in unity. What's going to change America is going to be maybe not the weight of numbers, but the weight of unity. And we're going to have to come together at a far higher level. And I think we're going to see the Union saved. The nation won't go down on our watch. Not if we do what's called of us to do. I'll see you a little later. I'm boarding a flight. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I want to thank you for watching this broadcast. And if you'd like to see more of what we've got coming up, and you never know when something new is going to be interesting, just hit the subscribe button right there, and I look forward to seeing you in a future broadcast.